Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the King of Petty is here again with a proper review for One Piece 1128. That's 1128. The video before was more my raw, unfiltered reactions. But this is more like a play-by-play. So excuse the sea in the background and excuse the one or two breeze you may hear. Because after all, I too, like Luffy, live on an island. Now, let's take a moment to appreciate how epic the order by Dr. Vegapunk, I believe Atlas it was, when she gave the order to attack all the Navy soldiers. That was indeed very epic. The cinematography, the animation were indeed superb, to say the least. It was indeed thrilling to see the interaction between Franky and Dr. Vegapunk. I believe honestly that all of the arcs somewhat resonate with a particular Straw Hat. So we had Whole Cake. That was the year of Sanji. Then we had Wano, which was, to me, Zoro's arc and somewhat development, because we saw a different side of Zoro, a softer side that we do see glimpses of, and also his upgrade per se. But basically it's because he is the sword guy. It's Wano, Samurai, you do the math. But the interaction between Dr. Vegapunk and Franky is amazing. Also, if I do say so myself, if Dr. Vegapunk was to join the Straw Hats officially, my God, that would have been epic. Mini spoiler ahead, he does not join the Straw Hats, but it would have been awesome. This was sort of funny, but shout out to the Lady Radar by our man Sanji. Yeah, it was basically a demonstration of his observation haki. And my God, that shit is powerful. I might call it more of a simp radar, but we're neither here nor there. But let us take a moment to also realize that even though Dr. Vegapunk is a scientist, he has trust in the orthodox, or let us say, the non-scientific methods and ideologies. Let us not forget, in the episode with Bonnie, when she discovered her father's memories, he believed in the existence of the soul, which he found a scientific measure for the goddamn soul. This man is indeed the scientist and genius of the One Piece verse. I was not expecting to see the combat prowess of the glutton, Jewelry Bonnie. And if I don't say so myself, that was badass. The way she handled the guns and her defensive and offensive capabilities were beyond my expectations. I dabbled in the manga, but nowhere in the manga do I remember her being so epic. I love the way she incorporated the powers with the use of a weapon, and also the design of the Pacifista Mark III was beautiful. Almost shed a tear. Amazing. The entrance by Armand Sanji was some hot shit, my boy. That was cool. That was freaking cool. The entrance by Sanji was the stuff of legends. And it was kind of sad to see that the Pacifista saw a target, but all Bonnie saw was the image of her father. My. That will be an interesting development in the future. I won't spoil that for y'all anime-only watchers, but as I said, in the manga, shit gets real, shit gets personal. And then our boy Vegapunk came in with the save. Let us take a moment to realize the strength of those bubbles that Dr. Vegapunk created. And also the entrance soon to come of the one, the only head of the science and research category, let us say, of the 5 elders, the Gorosei, the top dogs, aka so far, depiction wise, the most scary characters other than Imu himself is about to make an entrance. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the moment when things got real. Now I know the power scaling community always had a discrepancy with Zoro versus Lucci, but dare I say, Lucci and Zoro were both impressive for different reasons. Lucci, for his ability to not get one-shotted by Gear 5, and also the fact that he awakened his power, and also the fact that he could fight someone of Zoro's caliber barehanded, fighting against 3 swords. And shoutouts to Zoro for how far he has come to being a notch below Luffy, to now fighting enemies who are almost in that tier. Not to say that Lucci is stronger than Zoro or Luffy, but I rank them accordingly, or according to depiction. And what I saw was performance. As we say, that is performance. Even the moment when Lucci said, Omaida, excuse my Japanese, but he was basically saying that you guys are finished. And then we saw the beautiful Luffy versus Kizaru playoff, and Luffy effortlessly dodged a kick from a man moving at light speed. Remembering where the Straw Hats began, it is indeed a treat to see Luffy manhandle Kizaru and hold his own against one of the strongest forces of the Navy. But then My man Saint Saturn didn't even finish his expensive wine. He was about to make his grand entrance. I love the effect. I love the effect when we saw the ripples even in the wine glass as he was harnessing his power, about to make his move. And then there was a ripple in the sea. The waves were dissipated. The very heavens grew dark. And the presence, the power, the haki, the malevolence of Saint Saturn Garcia entered the battlefield. The same very wine glass began to fall, and before it even hit the ground, who knows how many thousands of miles this man traveled in an instant. Forget light speed travel with Kizaru. That was the fastest teleportation blitz speed feat I have seen in One Piece to date. It was also kinda cool. At this moment, ladies and gentlemen, I was not sure if I was watching One Piece again. The design, the sound effect of the pentagram that summoned Saint Garcia, and the fear in even his allies' faces. Even the admiral, or vice admiral rather, had to declare all soldiers below a certain rank, they can't even behold this man. But then again, that same man, if you could call him that, said that human lives were no more than insects in the grand scheme of things. Said, as a true Machiavellian style leader, or a true believer in the principle that the strong shall live and the weak shall perish. My God, my God. That is what we call an entrance. And even the voice actor, props to him when he said, "All pacifistas, stand down." And Atlas and Vegapunk himself knew that only one power in the world government has the authority to do such. You could almost see fear run up their spine and a chilling cold from the underworld. This man, or rather, this entity, was like a demon on the face of the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seats, because next week is going to be epic. Saint Saturn Garcia, the godhead of defense and science. That is what you call the title card. I always wondered, after Luffy achieved Gear 5, how would they make the story interesting? How would they make combat interesting? And who could go toe-to-toe with the Straw Hats? Our heroes, though they don't want to be called heroes, but to us they are. Who could face them? Who could match them? And the Five Elders is one of the answers I discovered. I also believe a group who we are soon to see, are also an answer to this question that also ties in to Kuma's backstory, which I think should be a separate video, and also ties in to the event at God Valley, and also ties in to the meeting between Shanks and the 5 elders that were foreshadowed almost a few years ago. And now, or rather soon, ladies and gentlemen, we will get the answers to these questions and more. 2 things I want to comment on, ladies and gentlemen. The Star Gun by our man Luffy, and that move, the punch that stretches one's skull. It may not look that damaging, but I believe even more so than the Bajrang gun, it is so far the most devastating move in his arsenal. And also, let us take a moment to recognize Saint Saturn didn't call him Straw Hat. He called him the Sun God, Nika. And then, at the climax of the episode, we got vital information which confirmed that when Bonnie saw the memories of her father, it was Saint Saturn who gave the order for Kuma to lose his humanity and to lose his very essence, what makes him him. Filled with rage, she dared attack the highest military power. And slight spoiler alert, we're about to learn that physically harming one of the elders, or rather drawing blood, says nothing, because their power is beyond devil fruits and beyond human. They are in a ballpark of their own. The enemies of humanity. Who will save us? Find out next week in One Piece chapter 1129, or rather episode 1129. Stay tuned, folks, and have an awesome day or night. Yeah.